Hey guys, so today I'm making worm tea and I thought I'd take you along on the process. The first step, however, is to water these worm bins. The process essentially is you water on the top. The water will then filter through your worm layers out into your bottom container, and then that would then drip out into this container, which would catch our worm tea. This is my small worm box. I will bring you along to show you. I don't know that there's a lot of liquid in here, but we'll harvest whatever's in here as well. So this is our worm bin, and as you can see, we come and put our food scraps here. I've just lifted this millie, and I'm not sure if you can see, but there are actually worms in and on and around, which is good to see in this new worm bin. There's even a few worms here trying to eat away at our avos. All in all, this looks very promising. I do have some extra food to feed this box today. So let's give it a good watering first. Right, so I think I've watered that layer significantly. I am going to come back and add a little bit more water at the end, but first, let's feed them. I've been collecting kitchen scraps for a while now, and I'm just literally going to come in and dump them all in here. We might smush them with the spade a little bit. While we're done here, let me show you my little worm tower that we have been taking care of for a little over a year. So probably a year and a half. This is my feeding bucket. As you can see, there are scraps in there. I know this bucket contains worms because I'm absolutely overflowing with worms, which is nice. Maybe time to expand this or essentially harvest it. We do have a little bit of liquid at the bottom here. I think for now, however, I am going to leave this container as it is. Okay, so we're going to brew our tea. I'm going to show you essentially what I've got here and what I'm using in order to do this. So I've got my bucket ready that I'm going to fill with worm tea and water. I have my air pump. It's just a fish tank air pump, and we've connected two pieces of tubing, both of which have an air stone at the end. This will help us aerate the liquid. So we're going to put those in. We're going to pour our tote full of worm tea into this bucket. Into our worm tea, we want to be able to feed the microorganisms in there. And in order to do that, we are adding some blackstrap molasses. We normally put about 3 tablespoons worth of blackstrap molasses into the worm tea. You want them to have the sugars to feed off of. So 1. But also you don't want it to be too rich. 2. So now in order to fill this bucket, I'm just going to take this container and go and fetch us some water from the JoJo. Now that we're done with the JoJo, I've got to get the chickens back in. So, give me a moment. Come on, ladies. Here we go. So I'm just going to use this water we've gotten from the JoJo and top up this bucket. Perfect. Now all I've got to do is plug this pump in and let it bubble for a while. So I've walked laps around this garden and I've been looking for my watering can and I can't seem to find it anywhere. So today we're using the bucket, but we're moving on with the second part of the worm tea. Right, so I'm going to start by brewing this tea. I can't find my watering can anywhere. It is what it is. It's not the first time this has happened. It probably won't be the last. This is a 20-liter bucket. So for the math of it, it technically works out to 1.8 liters of worm tea. And then you fill it with the 18 point whatevers of water. I am just going to do 2 liters of worm tea into this bucket. This is a 2-cup measure, so it works out to 500 mils. So I'm just going to put 4 of these into this bucket. Now we add water. Hey guys, so ideally you don't want to fill this with just regular water. You would prefer to have it as a distilled water. I'm not going to use the chlorinated tap water. I'm actually going to try and pull my hose pipe through the yard to the JoJo tank and see if we can get some rainwater into this bucket. I really don't feel like walking up and down to go and haul water every time. Right, so this is the tap end of the hose pipe, and we're going to take it through that wooden door and hopefully connect it up to the JoJo. Okay, so here's the head of the hose pipe. Instead of going over the fence, I think I'm actually going to come under the fence with the hose pipe so that it doesn't have to push up and over too far. Because we are relying a little bit more on gravity here. Okay, not mad. It's not pumping by any means, but that'll do. Right, so as you can see, the water is trickling out. I'm not angry about that. It's traveling far enough and I don't have to haul the water. So while this fills, I'm actually going to go and have my coffee. Since I'm going to be starting in this area watering, I just want to move this wheelbarrow. It doesn't need to be here. It's really just in the way at the moment. Okay, so honestly, that was a less than ideal method, but it is what it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this same little measuring jug, give it a bit of a mix-up, make sure nothing's settled. And just start watering my things. Okay, so I've just finished watering over here. I'm obviously not still done. I have this entire garden to still go, but that'll get a bit tedious to watch. So I think I'm going to say goodbye here and say have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.